Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back for another TOS video. So today we're going to do a card review for Cang Bi, which is the 1% jackpot card of the Oden Trio, the most recent series in the game. Right, so this is Cang Bi right here, and then apparently there is a outfit that is not being released yet. Right, so let's take a look at Cang Bi, his active skill, leader skill, as well as team skill. Right, let's start off with the leader skill. When team consists of only Dragon, God, and Beast, team attack times 5, right? So it is circled around these 3 races right here. And on top of that, recovery of each member plus 300. So take note, it is not just not only dragon, but it's each member, right? So if you were to put in a god card, right? God basically had quite decent recovery, right? Plus 300 is going to be quite massive in terms of recovery. Right, so when a dragon, god, beast launch attack in the same round, team attack times 1.8 additionally. So this shows that you have to put in at least one of each race to get that 1.8 team attack additionally. Right, so if you were to do it leader and ally, that's going to be quite a big amount of multiplier that you're missing out if you miss out one of these races. So last but not least, water runes possess 50% of other rune stones, right? Leader ally will make it 100% effect. So this card here plays around water convert. So you need massive amount of water runes in terms in order to do massive amount of damage, right? So that's gonna go through. I'm going to talk more about that in the team skill portion. Right, so let's take a look at the active skill first. So the number 1, basically I'm just going to ignore sticky runes, and number 2, recover 5% HP for every time you pass by a sticky rune. Right, so this means that it's something similar to Bahamut, right? When you activate Bahamut's active skill, you can ignore burning. So as you run through the burning runes, you kind of recover your HP. So this is the same thing, right? Instead of burning runes, it is sticky runes. So number 3, each monster in the team launch an extra attack every round. The skill stays in play within the wave. Right, so this is extremely useful. For example, if you want to fight like the 10 Seals Shamash, the Seal story mode, right? It will have 40 hit shield, right? So by activating this skill, you kind of like double the speed of breaking the 40 hit shield, because every monster is going to launch an extra attack until the end of the wave. So for example, like Shamash having 3 HP bar, right? If you activate it in the first HP bar, this effect will still stay at the second HP bar and the third HP bar until the boss is defeated. Right? So it is a very good active skill. So next, restore all weathered runes into normal state. Right? So this means that it's basically going to remove the weathered runes and not going to explode the weathered runes. Okay, so this you have to take note. So next, turn all rune stones into enchanted rune stones. So this is also not a bad skill, right? Let's take a look at things like mark runes on the board and stuff like that. You can just enchant, and then that's going to get rid of the mark runes. So next, skill of all god, beast, dragon except for Cang Bi -1, right? So this is an additional part in which to get certain cards ready in the next few waves. Right, so before we move on to the review, right, let's take a look at the team skill. So basically we have a recovery style same as Qing Gui, right, the black card, which is recover 3000 HP for each dragon runes dissolve to the max 60,000 HP, which is pretty massive. Right, so number 2, extend rune movement time regardlessly by 2 seconds. So that's always a good to have. And next, let's talk about the dragon points. Right, so Cang Bi have this dragon point system, right, in which the higher the dragon point, the less damage received to the max 100%. Right, so that is a very, very huge damage reduction. The lower the HP, the higher the team attack to the max times 5. I don't think you will ever hit the lowest dragon point, because that's actually quite hard to hit. Right, so let's talk about the dragon points. Right, so you enter the battle with 50 dragon points, which is like in the middle. So you're plus 1 dragon point for every 500 HP recovered. But honestly, because of the massive amount of recovery, every time you recover HP, you pretty much reach 100 dragon point, which is the maximum. Right, and dragon point -10 for every 3 water runes dissolve. So that's how you lower the dragon points, by dissolving massive amount of water runes, and that's going to increase your team attack in turn. Right, so the lower the dragon point, the higher the team attack times 5. That's what I mentioned just now. And dragon point -30 in the round upon receiving damage from the enemy. Right, so this, you can see that this playstyle is a bit similar to Darkness from the Konosuba series, in a sense that the more the enemy hit you, the lower your dragon points, and then the higher your damage. Right? For Darkness, is the more hit you receive, the higher the multiplier. Right? Which is somewhat similar. It's just that you kind of lose that damage reduction every time the enemy hit you. So that's something to take note of. Right. So overall, I think that this is a pretty complicated card to play with. Right. It's definitely not a fast clear, fast sweeping team for sure. Right. But it's very survivable. Right. So take note that the damage reduction actually doesn't apply to a percentage. Enemy that deals damage by percentage or ignores damage reduction. Right. So that's a point to take note. So let's get to the team setup. Right. So this is my team setup for Cang Bi at the moment, right? Because it is quite a complicated team. I can't really get hold of it. Can't really master the playstyle yet. Okay, so Cang Bi, I feel that Ao Guang is definitely a must to put in. Right. So number one, it actually provides you with that full board dragon runes once you do his active skill 2, which clears the board and gives you dragon runes. Right. Always a good to have. And on top of that, his first active skill, which converts massive amount of water runes for you to reduce your dragon points to increase your team attack. And on top of that, you have his own monster attack times 4, which is always good to have. Next, we have the Olden Trio's mini card, which actually gives you dragon runes below 3 dragons. Right, so in this case, it will be either Cang Bi, Ao Guang, this card itself, or the ally Cang Bi. Alright, so dragon runes always good to have to increase your damage, and on top of that, team recovery becomes 0. Doesn't really matter because you recover using dragon runes anyway. Right? So number 3, dragon attack times 2. So this is good. So once you activate it, the entire team pretty much have like a media enchantress effect, right? At times 2 all the way until your team HP goes below 50%, right? Which is a bit difficult because you always, most of the time, have 100% damage reduction because you usually have 100 dragon points at the end of the round. Right? So the only time that this card will pretty much get deactivated will be monster that comes in with ignore damage reduction or damage by percentage. Right, so next we have to fulfill the one god, one beast condition. Right, so I believe that Tefnut will be the go-to for water beast because there's not much water beast selection available unless certain you need to bring in certain cards, right? So Tefnut is always the good to go, ready to go water beast for Cang Bi. And then for my water god, I selected Shamash, right? Because you can see it's a relatively new card as well, right? So by tapping a runestone of its attribute, you will kind of like remove that attribute from the board, and then you can see that we have this extra combo count as well, and then that confirms sky drop of each attribute in each column. Right, so that's actually a very good active skill. Right, so of course there are alternative setups, right, in which I'm going to show you now. Right, so Chaos is going to have power release soon. Right, so that's going to in turn be pretty useful for Cang Bi if you want to rack up the combo count as well. Right, so you can replace Shamash with Chaos. Right, next, another god converter you can actually put in is SR Freya because of the CD6 and massive amount of convert as well. Right, so same goes to Pisces. Right, so because of its auto generation of water runes, because of its AR skill, as well as that mass convert if you were to hold it all the way for 8 rounds. You'll convert these 8 enchanted water runes for you. Right, so if you want to go all out to reduce your dragon points all the way to 0, I think this is definitely the card to go, right? Which is this Yuan Shi Tian Zun, I think. Yep, so it's a full board water rune convert, right? And that's definitely going to bring your dragon points all the way down to 0 and have that 5 times team attack, right? So the damage will be pretty massive for that. Right, so last but not least, you can try Ultraman Zero, in which it can give you extra damage on Beast and Machina, and on top of that, team attack times 1.5 is team HP is full, which is usually full most of the time. Right, upon convert, upon transformation, you can see that you can have those combo count plus 8, I think. Yeah, combo count plus 8, launch 8 extra attacks. All these are pretty good skills to have, right? Depending on the stage itself. Right, so overall, I feel that Cang Bi here, I don't feel that it is 1% worthy, right? But I think if you were to utilize its Dragon Point to the maximum, it would launch pretty crazy damage, right? But the thing is, the damage is not really consistent, and that's something that I don't like, right? So overall, I find that this series, it'll be better for these cards to be a member instead of a leader, right? So as I mentioned, this card is comparable with Qing Gui, the black card, right? So in any case that you can put Qing Gui as a leader and Cang Bi as a member, where you can see that it's actually helping Qing Gui a lot as well. So you can ignore sticky runes, and each monster launch an extra attack. And all this is actually pretty useful for a Qing Gui team as well. Right, so again, better as a member instead of a leader, and I don't see this card staying in the meta for too long anyways. Right, so that's my card review for the 1% card Cang Bi. If you have any questions, you can leave it down in the comments below, and I'll try to reply to you as fast as possible. Right, so with that, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.